so I can explain, because it's a weird collection of movies that we watched for today. Sarah's laughing. You can't see it. So there's this movie that came out maybe 5 years ago on Disney Channel, and this was a point in my life when I was nannying a lot, and I'm totally using that as an excuse for the reason
That's
as
legit.
to why I watched it a bunch. There's a movie called Teen Beach Movie, and it is one of the greatest delights in my life, honestly. It's not, the world's most incredible film. It's not the Lord of the Rings of beach movies, but it's just cheery and a fun time. And so I knew I wanted to share it with Sarah, and that's why today we're talking about it. So welcome to Shadow and Light, a film podcast with Molly and Sarah. I'm Molly.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're talking about Teen Beach Movie, the Disney Channel original movie, which I previously mentioned, and one of the original beach movies, Bikini Beach. So where do we begin?
I think I want to start out with the monkey.
The first of the two movies we're talking about, which is the original one we watched together, because we spent a Friday night eating Chinese food and watching these.
Which is a blast.
Yeah, it was great. Is Bikini Beach. It's from 1964, and it's the third of 7 beach party, quote-unquote, movies that were produced by American International Pictures in the 60s. I'm pretty sure all the beach movies starred Frankie Avalon, which was really exciting for me because I love Beauty School Dropout. And this is definitely a younger Frankie Avalon. And so the reason I picked this one is because I was on Wikipedia, trying to pick one of the 7 to watch. They're like, oh, yeah, well, people are upset that there's a monkey that can Watusi better than the rest. And I was like, Sarah, this is what we're doing. We have to watch it.
I was sold when you said monkey that can do the Watusi.
Exactly.
So spoiler alert.
There's a monkey that can do the Watusi.
But it's really a man in a chimp suit. So needless to say, we were both very disappointed, but Molly's reaction was priceless.
What did I say?
You said, I was promised a monkey.
I was promised a real monkey. But I was yelling it
at
the computer screen, and Sarah was just laughing at me, but I was so upset. I was like, I was promised a monkey, and I get this crap.
It was really disappointing, because I would kind of assume that it would be like one of those cute little capuchin monkeys.
Right?
You can teach them a lot of stuff.
Right?
And they're in tons of movies.
Right?
I was disappointed, as much as you were, but your reaction just cracked me up.
Right? But before we get to the monkey, just right off the bat, the opening shot of the film is a close-up of a woman's butt. Not like a naked butt, it's a bikini-clad butt. But she's walking away from the camera, and the camera's focusing on her butt, and I turned to look at Sarah, and we were like, oh, dear God.
Yeah.
This is an hour and a half long. So,
there is a significant butt theme in this film.
There is. This random woman, you never see her face, but she just walks by in heels and a bikini every once in a while, and it focuses on her hips. The opening shot of the film is her butt, and the closing shot is the bikini butt as well.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I
also don't walk around wearing a bikini with heels on. I'm usually barefoot. So I don't know. I guess they're going for a...
Unless you're in a pageant of some kind.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
And even then, Miss Universe just got rid of that.
They did?
Yeah, the
nice.
contest.
Well, I'm proud of them.
I think it's Miss Universe and might be Miss America.
Okay.
Are pageants feminist?
Gosh,
I don't want to get into it.
Gigantic can of worms.
Let's not. Let's put that can of worms
just focus
back
on
the
butts.
Shelf. We'll save that for Drop Dead Gorgeous or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so...
Too many butts.
Oh my gosh. That's the opening scene of the movie. And then, you get the cute little opening credits or whatever, and there's a giant caravan of teenagers with surfboards driving down the highway. Frankie Avalon's driving it.
Singing a little song,
which is completely forgettable and nobody remembers.
Yep.
But they're like, it's summertime, we're going to the Bikini Beach, doot. And as they drive by Keenan Wynn.
Yeah, Keenan Wynn, oh my gosh.
Who I don't know much about, other than that he's in Herbie Fully Loaded.
Yeah.
Not Herbie Fully...
Herbie Rides Again, he plays the villain. Who actually, as a kid, he always creeped me out, so to see him in this kind of slightly more positive role is a little weird.
Slightly more positive role? This movie goes off the tracks. So he's watching them through his binoculars, and... There's the man in the monkey suit, pawing at him, and he's like, not now!
Clive?
Yeah, it's Clive.
Is it Clive?
Clive or Clyde?
Clyde, I think.
Clyde.
Maybe.
Not now, Clyde. Whatever. Blah, blah, blah. And so they get to the beach, And the teens spend a night at the beach. The girls get this fancy camper, and the guys, I guess, are just outside.
I think they have a hut or something.
Yeah, I don't know. So, okay, there's a few standout surfers that you need to know. Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello, who has this ridiculous beehive the entire movie.
She is cute, though.
Yeah. There's a girl in a pink bikini named Candy.
Of course. Who
just runs around, like, shimmying the entire time. And her shimmies have the power to incapacitate people.
That's so weird. But literally a thrust of her hips sideways and some guy will fall backward.
Or
it's just so dumb.
Fall through a wall.
Yeah.
That's the end of the movie, though. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Slower rolls. And then there's a really tall guy with a hat that has a southern accent who seems like kind of a hillbilly, and they make him out to be that way.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
What's his name in real life? I think he's the son of somebody famous.
Oh, we talked about this.
Yeah, I can't remember. We'll look it up later.
I don't remember either. Okay, anyways. So... It's still, Hollywood in the 60s, so they sleep separately.
Isn't that cute?
And so cute. And then the next day they wake up and they're walking down the beach, and who is there but Potato Bug?
Oh, God.
Do you wanna talk about Potato Bug here, Sarah?
I do want to talk about Potato Bug, and as much as I love Frankie Avalon, because he's gorgeous and charming, and he's genuinely very talented.
And he's playing a dual role. He's playing Frankie Avalon, and he's playing Potato Bug,
who is supposed to be an amalgamation of various British pop stars of the 60s, and it's just painful to watch.
Yes.
And he's attempting a British accent. He's mixing colloquialisms within Britain into one. He's trying to be like an uppity guy, and he's got like the whole. Oh,
Joe, good mate, like that.
Yeah,
sort of.
So he's mixing uppity, but then he's saying like things like "oh duck," which is a very like Essex kind of thing to say, and he's clearly being like super uppity, but he's like overly dorky, and he's got a mop top kind of thing going on, but it's blondish, reddish, and then he's got big buck teeth or something.
Well, there's the gap between the teeth. And then the music he plays is very hyper Beatlesy.
It's hyper Beatles, but bad hyper Beatles.
Exactly.
It's like some, dads got together and started a little tribute band to the Beatles and failed.
But it's just one person. Yeah. For some reason, he's on this random beach, just chilling, and dressed with, like, an ascot in the British wear, not prepared for the beach at all.
Yeah.
But the only other person with him is this blonde Russian woman who never wears pants.
Yeah, she literally never wears pants. She always wears a jacket with underpants or in tights. She's like, a chauffeur situation or whatever.
And her specialty is kicking men in the face.
Yeah.
Which is one of the few redeeming things about this movie.
Yeah, I think it's a good quality to have, being able to kick people in the face.
I agree.
In such a fashionable way, too.
Yes.
She's charming.
Yeah, so then, oh Lord. Okay, so the movie continues, and the girls are all like, it's the Potato Bug! And the guys are like, there's nothing special about him.
They literally have to haul one guy away because he can't take it. And I'm just like, yeah, same, buddy.
Yeah. And then, so they go back to their little thing on the beach, and then this is when Keenan Wynn shows up with Clyde, and Clyde goes out, and guess what? The monkey can surf, and everyone's like, oh, it's amazing, and then Keenan's like, that's because the youth of today are useless, and a monkey can do the things you do, and I'm going to write a blistering editorial about this and get it published in the morning's paper. And they're like, okay, whatever. But then he does. And so the next scene is him in this ornate office, and then this gorgeous blonde woman walks in and is like, how dare you!
Yeah, I'm their teacher, and they're wonderful children.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm going to prove it. And so there's a whole side plot involving Keenan Wynn, who's like an older gentleman, this absolutely gorgeous blonde woman who he manages to fall in love with in maybe a day and a half.
That's so weird.
And her with him, like, they're engaged by the end of the movie. She's definitely, like, 15 years younger than him. She has to be. And the monkey. So there's a side plot involving them as they're as she's taking him around to try and prove that the surfers are okay, like, they're good kids. And then there's this...
Explain the whole...
Okay, so she is super angry about his article. But the rivals of the surfers, naturally, in nature, are the motorcyclists. For a reason that no one really knows.
It's a big biker gang full of the most...
dumpy looking, but I was expecting sexy bikers, and I got Curly and Mo and the other Stooges name I can't think of right now.
Okay. If the Stooges got together and started a biker gang, this is literally what it would look like.
It is. They're called the Rats.
Yeah.
They're called the Rats, and the leader looks like if you shoved all three Stooges in one body.
Yeah, pretty much.
And there's this Buddhist trick that he's like, oh, I use this to, like, get the jump on people. All I have to do is give him the finger, and what he does is he holds his pointer finger against his temple, but then it causes him to freeze. So he has to be dragged out of the room by the other people in the motorcycle gang. And this happens 4 separate times.
Yeah.
4 separate times. And everyone in the gang is illiterate. There's only 2 women in the gang, and they're gorgeous compared to the guys that are around them.
Yeah.
And then there's also a werewolf that shows up at one point.
Yeah, just a random teen werewolf who's sitting in the corner of the pool bar.
Yeah, where the motorcycle gang is hanging out, which is confusing for us. Sarah and I were like, this movie is...
Yeah, like, there was no point in that.
No.
Should have edited that.
Yeah, so the motorcycle gang is super a fan of Keen and Wynn, because they're like, yeah, we want the surfers to get off our turf. That sort of
That's
thing.
a very accurate accent, by the way.
Thank you. And then, so they're trying to sabotage the surfers. The surfers, in the meanwhile, are caught in the midst of a love triangle between Frankie Avalon, and Annette Funicello.
You mean the potato bug?
The potato bug. I don't remember why she gets mad at him, but she gets mad at him for some reason. So the potato bug also races cars.
Yeah, randomly.
And there's a race car track owned by Don Rickles.
Oh gosh, young Don Rickles is a trip.
Yes, who has a pet parrot.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
No, it's a pet hawk, but it talks like a parrot.
It talks like a parrot. Sarah and I were like, what is happening?
It's like, what? Why don't you just get a parrot?
No.
It would be cheaper to train, but he's got a hawk that sounds like a parrot. Am I missing something?
No, you're not. And then,
he's some sort of avant-garde painter.
Yes.
He literally just throws balls of paint at a canvas. It's not even...
And he's like, this is my legacy. This is what will be left when I'm gone. And we're like, okay.
Yeah.
He's one of those. So anyways, Potato Bug races at this racetrack, and then Frankie Avalon's like, I want to do it too. And she's like, why are you always trying to kill yourself? Why can't you take our relationship seriously? Why haven't you even proposed to me yet? And he is like, I just want to live my life, whatever. And then she's like, well, I'm going to find... I don't know. But then, I don't know. She says something, and then Potato Bug walks over, and he's like, well, if you're going to be a widow, at least you can be a rich one with me. And kind of steals her away, which is a weird way to hit on someone. Like, hey, you want to be a rich widow, baby?
That's not a good pickup line.
Not at all. And then, so then the rest of the movie is Frankie Avalon trying to win her back, failing to do so. Mm-hmm. He tries to race Potato Bug, but then his car is sabotaged accidentally by the rats.
Accidentally, which is even funnier.
Mm-hmm.
Funnier as in, what the heck are we watching?
I know, because they wanted to sabotage Potato Bugs.
Yeah, and I forget why.
I don't remember, but they sabotage his. And then there's this huge race, and so all the characters end up back at this bar that Don Rickles also owns.
But before that, it's like real-life Mario Kart, which you pointed out.
Because, so they have, like, different motorbikes, the sidecars, and, like, mini cars. Like, the leader of the motorcycle gang gets into a go-kart and runs around the streets, and they speed up the film so it looks like they're going faster than they actually are.
So
but
lame.
This race goes on for, like, 5 minutes. It's really long.
It felt longer.
Yeah, so they end up at Don Rickles' bar, and then the bikers and the surfers get into this huge fight, and then Keen and Wynn's like, I'm gonna help the surfers because I've had a change of heart and won the woman. And the woman's like, darling, don't do this, you'll get hurt. He's like, I'll be fine. And then he gets punched in the face and passed. Yeah.
But he does actually punch a guy. And this is so funny.
Oh my gosh.
He punches the guy, like, under his jaw, and the guy, it must have been on some kind of harness because they hoisted him up to make it look like he had punched him so hard he went up in the air.
Through the ceiling.
So he flew through the air, and then I think he landed on top of the chandelier or something. Mm-hmm. But then, then Keenan Wynn is knocked out. But you're like, what the heck? Yes. It's like they went from vaguely plausible to totally
it's the
surreal.
X-Men.
Yeah.
It's sexy beach X-Men.
That's nuts.
I know.
This is what crack fics are made of.
Basically. Yeah, because then Candy's, shaking her hips and men are flying through walls. And then Clyde, the gorilla, is there. And then he starts painting in the midst of this. Yeah. And then, out of the blue, Boris Karloff walks in. And is like, I'll take that painting for $1,000. and have it sent to my house tomorrow. And then as he leaves, he goes, Vincent Price would love this place.
Yeah.
And then...
Molly and I completely lost it at that point,
we were like, ah! Because you all know how much I love Vincent Price.
And you all know how much I love
Boris Karloff. Yeah. So that... And then, like, he sees some people get thrown across the room, and then he goes, monsters. And then he leaves, and we're like... Ah!
What
and then
was that?
the rodents are finally defeated because the guy does the finger to his head again. And then they're like, let's have a party.
He's giving himself the finger again.
Yeah, and let's have a party. And guess who it is? It's little Stevie Wonder.
Actually, Stevie Wonder.
Actually, Stevie Wonder. Who does a really good... The end of the movie is him just singing a song.
And he's adorable and super young at this point. This is, what, 1963 or 4 or something?
1964, yeah.
Aww.
And he's one of 2 black people in this movie.
Yeah, so this movie gets no points for representation at
No,
all.
it gets negative points.
Yeah.
Because once the monkey finally does the Watusi, the blonde woman that's engaged to Keenan Wynn goes, oh, isn't that... Or, like, that's his people or whatever. And that was the moment I looked at Sarah and I was like, is this racial coding? And she's like, yes. And I was like, no.
We can't enjoy any movie. That's the point.
Also, this movie is just... I explained it to you in detail before kind of talking about the making of it at all, just so you know that you don't have to watch it. Yeah. Our recap was the best parts.
I believe so.
Of Bikini Beach.
Yeah.
Although it made $4.5 million at the box office in 1964. These were popular movies.
Yeah.
This series was super popular for no good reason.
Mm.
So
I feel like preteen me would have had better taste had I been there.
Yes.
In the 60s.
Well, but American International Pictures was also the company that distributed all the Roger Corman horror films.
Oh, that figures.
It's just, I know, it's just bizarre that this all came out of one picture house.
I think they probably just all want to see Frankie. I mean, that would be a draw enough for me, I have to say, if I was around back then as a teen and saw Frankie. I mean, he's really, really attractive.
And he's a good singer.
Yeah, he's got a lot of charisma, and he's a good centerpiece for a film.
He's been married to his wife for 60 years or something insane like that, which we both were like... Oh, it's the best part of this little movie, and it's not even in the movie.
I know.
So...
Oh, and then you don't forget the little cute beach scene they have where they're like, it's all romantic, and it's a moonlit beach, and they're walking along. It clearly looks like they're a green screen behind them, and it looks like they're on a conveyor belt instead of actually walking on a beach, which I find is very, very funny. Every time I see it in a 60s movie, I'm like, the conveyor belt's on again.
And I love that we saw that, though, that was in there, because then we watched Teen Beach Movie, which Again, I love, love, love. Is it a Disney Channel original movie? Yes, it is. Is it blatant in its messaging about feminism and girl power and that sort of thing? Yes, it is. But it's just so joyful and earnest that you can't feel bitter when you're watching it.
Yeah,
like, there doesn't feel anything false in it.
And like you said, it's very self-aware.
It's very self-aware, which is why I like it. It's... The deconstructionist beach movie I never knew I needed in my life until I watched it.
That's so accurate.
And it's very deconstructionist of the beach genre itself. So, for those of you who haven't seen Teen Beach Movie, watch it tonight, right now, because it's amazing. So the whole kind of crux of the film is there's this young couple in modern day that are surfers, and there's a magical surfboard, as there always is.
Of course.
That the girl of the couple takes out surfing because, she's has to go away to boarding school and she wants to be here and she's torn between her life here and the life that's expected of her because, her dead mother wanted her to make something of herself. Mom McGilt. Who is that?
Yeah. Gee, I've never heard that before in my life.
No. So she goes on the magical surfboard and there's this big wave and he goes off in a jet ski to kind of save her and they both get pulled in the undertow. Yeah. And then when they reemerge, they're magically in the movie Wet Side Story.
Oh, God.
That's the name of the fictional movie within the movie. That is the beach movie that the male character is, like, a huge fan of. And so they get there, and immediately they start, like, the teens are singing and dancing about being on the beach, and he's loving it, and she is like, what is happening right now?
Yeah. I'm going to miss my flight to this stupid boarding school that I really don't want to go to, but I still have to.
But all this is happening. So then you meet the surfers, who then go into Big Mamas, which is a play off of Big Papas?
I guess so.
Or Big Daddies.
Big Daddies, yeah.
Big Daddies, which is in the first of the Beach movies and is owned by Vincent Price in that Beach movie, so I'm disappointed we didn't watch it for that reason.
Yeah.
Because
well, we'll go back and watch more Beach movies.
Do we have to? I don't know if I can handle it.
I kind of want to just to
maybe
see Vincent
next
Price.
summer. It could be like an annual summer thing.
Yes, watching bad.
Because then
there are some good beach movies I can recommend though.
Well, Gidget is great.
Gidget, and then also there's one about I think it's like a semi-documentary thing about like finding the perfect wave or something. I forgot what it's called. Endless Summer, and that is the classic.
Oh, it is.
Oh my gosh, it's incredible. I have an HD
like
copy.
A Tom Hanks movie called Beaches?
Yeah, I think that's old. Oh, Splash.
That's what I meant.
That's a mermaid one. Yeah.
We should watch that.
I love that one. That's a really good one.
So, you meet the surfers who go into Big Mama's, which is like the hangout, and then the other half of the ensemble shows up, the bikers, who are aptly named the Rodents.
It's so ridiculous. Instead of being the rats and the mice, they're the rodents, which is
right.
A cute little parody.
It's directly parodying, I should say, off of that stereotype of the beach movies.
Yeah.
And so they have a song, which the guy, of course, joins in on. And I don't feel like explaining this movie does it justice because it's so much fun to see, and the music is pretty catchy. But there's a mix-up of love interests. The couple that's supposed to get together in Wet Side Story end up like crushing on the actual couple, and then so the rest of the plot of the movie is them trying to kind of, convince them this is the way things are supposed to be, while at the same time the female character is trying to pass on the idea that girls can do what they want and they're not limited by this 1960s worldview, which is pretty...
I think it was a really interesting way of illustrating the whole generation game thing of people who are parental age to us are they have these things that they grew up with, these certain standards of the way women and men should behave, and I think we obviously don't feel the same way as they do, and so it's kind of interesting to see that. I mean, it's slightly extreme and maybe oversaturated to a certain point to kind of illustrate that, but very important kind of message to get from a what
especially for kids,
teens movie. Yeah,
100%. I mean, there's a whole song that goes into that entirely. It's called Like Me.
I thought that was I think it was my favorite number. The whole thing. Very cute.
It was very cute. I mean, it's a Disney original movie, so everything's going to be very heteronormative. They're not going to make any major feminist statements, right? But it's enough. Like, it's okay for girls to be interested in science or multiple different things. It's okay for girls to take initiative in relationships and have expectations, which is one of the reasons I think that I like it so much, because then I could watch it with the kids that I nannied, because I nannied just a bunch of girls, and those were the messages they were getting, which was awesome. So, that movie ends with our main couple making it back out, and the characters that are in Wet Side Story appreciating each other more and their differences, and planning on sort of celebrating those and learning from each other, and so it's a very inspirational story, and I just appreciate the way it does play around with that Bikini Beach sort of trope, because unlike Bikini Beach, Teen Beach movie it's racially diverse, it's really forward thinking in the way it treats women and gender relations. There's no overt sexualization of women, which I mean at this Disney movie you're not really going to get as much, but still it definitely stands out apart from the genre. And it also kind of, like you said, it's very self-aware.
I think that was really a fun way to kind of, like you said, deconstruct that whole trope of beach movies and this kind of unrealistic expectations of what those movies kind of gave to the young public of like, everyone can afford a surfboard and get to the beach and spend the whole summer on the beach and literally do nothing and except for surf and have fun. And it's like, that really probably wasn't the case for most people. I mean, not everyone could afford a surfboard. Not everyone lived on a beach unless you're like in California or something. And a lot of kids had to work during the summer, and so it's a very, very idealized kind of American standard of experience, and not everyone gets to experience that. And that, I think, kind of parodying it kind of shows the sort of hypocrisy, maybe, of it, or not hypocrisy.
Well, the hypocrisy, I think, of the way it keeps people in binaries. Whether you're a biker, surfer, male or female, there's roles you're ascribed to. And I think it's an easy way and a fun way of kind of illustrating why that's a problem, where those roles sort of are based and how you can overcome them.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty meaty topic for a kids movie.
I think so, yeah.
And one that I'm surprised they even were able to kind of pull off, because it does really go against traditional gender norms for what it is. It's not like, it's nothing earth-shattering.
It's not too radical,
but for a Disney kids movie, it's definitely making statements that I think could make certain members of society anxious.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
You don't want, you want to keep oppressing particular groups of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Men. I mean, keeping men and women separately, separate in their roles, and also
limiting what women can do.
Yeah, and people who have been oppressed, whether it be by race or gender, whatever. I think another thing about watching these movies back to back, I think was really good. I found that a really interesting experience because I grew up watching a lot of older stuff from the 60s, like beach movies and Gidget and, all these things. And they are very heteronormative. They are very, the kids in these movies are very privileged and they're able to go surfing and it's a certain kind of lifestyle that not everyone can access. And, it's very white and all this stuff. And then you fast forward and you see Teen Beach Movie and it's you've realized how far we've come in a lot of ways. I mean, maybe not, like you said, it's not earth-shattering, but if you compare the two, they are vastly different. And that's kind of exciting to see that change. And, kids probably expected out of their summer experience versus what they have now, which is a little bit more realistic.
Or even less of what they expected of their summer experience. Because, I think landlocked states, they knew they weren't going to be able to surf all summer. Yeah.
Yeah.
But expectations for what relationships would be like,
Absolutely.
or what you could expect out of your partner, especially, proper ways for women to behave, or things that women could be justified in getting angry over.
Right. And even the fictional movie West Side Story, it's supposed to mimic West Side Story, which is supposed to mimic
Romeo and Juliet.
So it's like you give kids this kind of over-romanticized expectation of drama and relationships, and it's totally not realistic at all. And then whereas you look at Teen Beach Movie, and I would say that's a realistic relationship between teenagers.
Yeah.
It's not overly sexual.
Couple.
Yeah, the main couple. They're not overly sexualized. They are naturally disappointed that she has to go away. But there's not any really horribly unrealistic drama going on between them.
If you surf without me, I'm leaving you for this British rock star that just showed up.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Accurate.
Yeah. And, there's a little bit less of that within the actual West Side Story characters themselves. But that leans into the sequel, which there is. And the girl character that, the girl West Side Story character named Layla, who the real world girl Mac befriends, kind of goes on this journey of self-actualization through the two movies and becomes more of that fully fleshed character, with that fully fleshed relationship in the second one.
Yeah.
But,
That's cool. You showed me a clip of that, though. I think I would like to watch it now and see what they do with it. Because us and our opinions about sequels.
Oh, yeah.
But
they vary.
They do vary.
I feel like it's a good place to start teaching your kids how to be critical of the media you take in.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of the narratives I watched when I was younger was something I immediately just bought into.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And the same thing with those
truth.
beach movies of the old days.
Yeah. This is truth. This is the way life is supposed to work. Relationships are supposed to work. This is what I'm supposed to expect. But it's an easy way of, getting kids to maybe think about questioning those things, or at least plant the seeds so then they can be more critical later.
Yeah, and that movie is definitely, Teen Beach Movie is a critique of, or it's showing kids how to critique, as you were kind of saying, that it's looking at the, these past kind of ideals and how we've changed them and how they still kind of need to be changed in a way. Because I feel like if a kid watches that musical number about, women can do, things that guys do, in a way, I feel like people still need to see that message.
Yeah, well, our philosophy of life, our understanding of how people are supposed to work, is completely based on a binary that is incredibly deep-seated. But even the most basic ideas, don't kill people. These are lessons we have to tell ourselves over and over again, unendingly. So it's going to take, I think, a very long time and a lot of stories before we don't feel like
Yeah.
we have to keep making stories that assert our equality.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, actually. If the message still has to be sort of taught, then obviously we still need to learn from it.
And ultimately, I mean, everyone has to be taught the same messages somewhat throughout time, or should be.
Yeah.
If you believe things like murdering people is wrong or stealing is wrong. I mean, these are stories we have to keep telling each other.
Mm-hmm. Racing, I think, is kind of an interesting aspect to add to it. I feel like it was just sort of in a way, it was kind of a filler. It was like
It
was trying to add drama, and I know that speed records were a thing in 1930s Britain, but I guess it became a thing again in the 60s for some reason.
Well, when did Grease come out? Because I feel like the movie came out in the 70s, but the musical might have been...
It was set in the 50s.
The musical was set in the 50s, and I almost thought they were going to have a Grease lightning moment.
It was leading toward that,
It was leading towards it because... The Frankie Avalon and his surfers are trying to, get their car ready before the rodent rats, whoever shows up, and destroy it. And they almost went into a sort of, this car is automatic, systematic, and dramatic thing. And I was like, it's out. And then it didn't happen.
No. But then, what did they say? Motorosity? Which I don't think is
John Rickles. It's not a word.
It's not a word, yeah.
It's not a word. And it was like lycanthrophobia. There's a lot in that movie.
It is a lot. I mean, it really is not that cohesive. It's kind of just like, let's throw all of these fun elements into one movie and see that it works.
Or see what sticks. And much of it doesn't. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you have Teen Werewolf and you have Boris Karloff in a movie that has a monkey and
a hawk that's supposed to sound like a parrot,
but isn't a parrot.
And then the hawk is like on his head at one point, and
the hawk and the monkey become friends.
Yeah,
we're saying monkey. It's a guy in a gorilla
It's a guy in a freaking chimp suit. It's the dumbest crap I've ever seen.
And then the monkey drives a car.
Oh yeah, the monkey drives the car twice and breaks some kind of land speed record, which is totally ridiculous.
Yeah, and there's this police officer who sees him just driving this car and calls it in. He's like, he told us to go get some coffee.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, I completely blocked that out of my brain. Why didn't we get drunk and watch this movie? It would have been even funnier.
That would have been. I mean, we had Chinese food, which I was happy about.
Sure, but I wouldn't recommend watching this movie sober.
No, or at all. I mean, we got 20 minutes into it, and I was like, Sarah, we still have an hour and 20 minutes left.
Oh my god. It wasn't very well written, but it also wasn't very well acted.
No.
I think probably because there was just so much lack of cohesion, I don't think any actor could make anything out of it.
I mean, except Boris Karloff.
Yeah, who I recognized from his back.
Because he walks into the bar a couple times, and you don't see his face until
and I recognize the back of his neck, too, which I have no idea why. But he had, the thing is, he had that distinctive walk because he had back problems ever since they made Frankenstein. Because he had to literally physically lift Colin Clive, the actor who played Dr. Frankenstein, and he was wearing these big heavy boots, and so he had to haul this guy, and Colin Clive wasn't a small guy, he was 6 feet tall, and Boris Karloff had to haul him up this hillscape kind of set, and screwed up his back so bad that he had permanent back trouble. And then he also had bowed tendons in his legs, if you watch him in later films, you can see how much his legs bow out really badly, and so he had a very distinctive walk, especially in later years. But so side note about Karloff, but it was interesting to see him in this, and one of his later films, because the last film he did was in 1969, I think, so. Yeah,
and I mean, this was literally just a walk-on, extra paycheck sort of thing.
And then having him say, Vincent Price and Monsters.
Yeah. I mean, they're totally trying to buy into the whole rebooted monster craze that was happening at that time.
Yeah.
But those horror actors are in a bunch of these beach movies. It blows my mind that Vincent Price was in one of them,
too. That cracks me up.
I know. It's just...
I have to say, I do like the beach aesthetic. Having the whole, they have that giant caravan, or I think there's it's a Woody too, or something, and I don't know, it's just terrific stuff, and the whole beach scene and beach culture is really fascinating, and I think a lot of times beach culture, it's people who actually kind of live there and literal beach bums and people, but because that kind of became a thing for teenagers had that expectation that was kind of like a summer life, that they could take part in, and it necessarily wasn't true.
Right.
So anyway, but I still find that aesthetic really exciting.
Oh, I do too. Well, and it's everything is much more highly saturated in Teen Beach Movie. And they make fun of, like, when they're in Wet Side Story and surfing, they do the the green screen surf sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then there's earlier shots of the main character actually surfing, and that actress is from Australia. Yeah. So that makes sense.
Yeah. The hair thing, though, we got to talk about the hair thing really quick.
So back to Teen Beach Movie. Oh, man. So as the movie goes on, things from the modern world that they brought with them start to disappear. Like, her skin guard swimsuit disappears, and she's constantly stuck in these super adorable vintage outfits.
Yeah, they're cute.
I'm all over the costuming in this movie. But as it gets later on in the movie, they've tried unsuccessfully to match the couple up. She falls into the water and stands back up, and her hair isn't wet. And starts freaking out. She's like, my hair's not wet. And he's like, your hair's not wet. She's like, my hair's not wet. And then they go into this song called I Can't Stop Singing, where they're talking about the fact that they're slowly becoming part of this musical and turning into the movie.
Remotely creepy.
It is. It's a fun
I was
song.
excited when they first got there because I thought they'd time travel. Like, oh, is there time travel? Is there time travel? And you're like, no, they just got into the old movie. I was like, oh, okay.
I like the idea of going into fiction.
It is neat. Mm-hmm. It is very neat. But it's kind of cool how they had to talk about how they changed that world. Mm-hmm. I kind of found that interesting.
Yeah, they changed the world then, and then the world is further changed in the next movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because in the next movie, the characters from Wet Side Story end up in our world.
Yeah. And they come out of the ocean with, like, wet hair, and then somebody passes them a cell phone. They're like, oh, what is this?
And it's a picture of Justin Bieber, like an old picture of Justin Bieber, like in his baby days.
Oh,
and they're
God.
like, ah! They scream at it.
That's my response to Justin Bieber as well.
Right?
Yeah. But I do kind of see that whole appeal of, like you said, it is a very upbeat movie. Teen Beach movie is very upbeat and very fun, and it is very catchy. Mm-hmm. I think maybe I feel too old to enjoy it.
No!
Because I'm in my 30s. But I see the so many redeeming qualities. And it is, like you said, it's good messages and no one's being sexualized, really.
Right.
Which is a refreshing change, especially from Bikini Beach, which has about 16 different shots of women's butts wiggling across the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, and it would just be such a fun show to be in.
Yeah.
Because Disney Channel does occasionally, High School Musical.
I was very impressed with the dancing in this, I have to say. It was really, really good stuff. Like, they're talented kids.
They have tap dancing, they're doing all kinds of flips. The biker gang is super hot, so
I gotta agree with you there. They are
Butchie,
super hot.
the head of the biker gang.
I'd buy a ticket to that.
Yeah, there are no mustaches in this movie.
No.
No, there is a mustache.
There is?
It's the evil guy. So there's an entire side plot involving an evil scientist that's very meta.
Yo, man, that is the definition of meta, I think, the whole thing. It's like you think you'd literally step out of the screen. I like that guy who plays he is actually British. The guy who plays the film, which makes a change. Like, no one's doing a fake accent.
Right.
But I don't think I would party with a mustache. No offense to him, but
it's not a bad mustache.
It isn't too bad.
It's better than John Boyega's mustache.
Yeah, like you said, that's just kind of fuzz, though.
Yeah.
It's not a full-on
which
Idris Elba mustache, which is something I would definitely party with.
Who wouldn't, though? Let's be honest with ourselves here. I don't know. I think watching Bikini Beach, those kind of spurred my interest in watching other movies from the 60s. Not necessarily bikini movies.
No, the Gidget movies are
not
really
necessarily
fun.
Bikini movies,
right?
But I meant to say beach movies, but bikini movies.
Right. The Gidget movies are really good, but the Gidget the TV series with Sally Field, hella amazing.
I don't know. I want to watch that.
It's different than the original Gidget, which was with Sandra Dee, because that's a little bit more not as feminist.
No,
as
not
the
at
TV
all.
show. The TV show's quite feminist in a lot of ways, and it gets very, very deep. Whereas I think the movies are a little bit more.
It's an older romance.
It is an older romance.
Like
she
has a romance with an older guy, and it ends tragically or something. I
can't remember. But there's three. There's Gidget. Gidget goes to Hawaiian. Gidget goes to New York or something. I don't know. But
I kind of want to watch movies that were aimed at younger audiences from that time.
Yeah.
Like, I want to watch Bye Bye Birdie. I want to watch Viva Las Vegas. Basically, I want to watch Anne Margaret.
Yeah.
Anne Margaret movies. Just to kind of see what those messages are like. Because those were all coming out around the same time.
Right.
And I'm curious to see how those women were painted. Because, Annette Funicello or whatever is just, like, pretty cardboard.
She is a little bit.
Basically, in this movie.
Well, they don't give
Not to speak of Candy.
They're literally just kind of ciphers. I mean, they're not really full-rounded characters at all.
No.
It's just like, here's a hot woman with the power to throw men into walls with a swish of her hips.
Which would be, I would take that superpower.
Yeah, that is a good one. It's legit.
Mm-hmm. I would take it. I don't know how to follow up with that.
Frankie Avalon as a superhero. That would be kind of nice, though.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Beach bum.
Yeah, I guess.
I feel like I didn't get to hear him properly sing in this movie.
No.
There's one little singing scene, and then he performs as the potato bug, and it sounds dumb. Awful.
There's also 2 random bands. One that's the Pyramids.
Which is a real band.
And then there's a woman named Donna Lauren, who's one of the surfers, who has a scene near the beginning, and it's just focused on her, and I'm like, we don't know who you are.
Oh, yeah.
At all. I mean, as far as being a musical, it doesn't do a good job of being a musical.
I think they just spliced this movie together any old way.
I really think they did,
We're on a deadline, we're all drunk, let's just turn it into the producer and see what happens. And that's what happened.
And Frankie Avalon has such a gorgeous voice when he was younger and he was older. Because, I mean, Beauty School Dropout.
What year is that? Is that 70s?
Grease is the 70s, yeah.
Oh, is he in the original Grease?
Yeah, he's the guy that sings Beauty School Dropout.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which is, I think, my favorite scene in the entire Grease
I've never seen that movie all the way through. I saw the live version on TV, which was actually pretty good.
The live version on TV was fabulous.
I was really impressed by that. After the 2 other disasters of Peter Pan and Sound of Music, which
oh my gosh.
I watched so hard.
Both of those. I watched both of them. Yeah. Grease was really, really good. Vanessa Hudgens did a fabulous job. But I've seen the original movie a handful of times. And there's scenes that, I mean, John Travolta does a great performance.
Yeah, he's great.
There's scenes that are really great.
And that very big no homo moment with the whole, let's get out our combs and brush our hair to show how much we care.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But Beauty School Dropout, for me, has just always been the best part of that entire movie.
That's cool.
Especially because, I mean, they're like 30-year-olds playing high schoolers. I'm like...
Which always cracks me up. It's like, you're not fooling anybody.
No. But Frankie Avalon, he's dressed in all white, and he has a chain around his neck. Like, it's very 70s, and it's just...
nice.
It's delicious.
Good old Frankie. That's the only reason why we really watched this movie.
Yeah. That, and because I wanted to have something to compare Teen Beach against. And even then, I feel like we're grasping for straws, and our conversation has gone everywhere, which, apologies, it's not super cohesive this time around. But that's just because there's not a lot to these movies. But I feel like Teen Beach...
But it's a genre that we have to discuss at some point because it really is kind of important to American culture.
Especially to an era. Like, my mom, I mean, she loved Gidget growing up.
Yeah. Same with my mom, too. And I grew up watching some of those just because she loved it. So, yeah, for sure.
For sure. Well...
How about... So, surfboards out of 10.
I want to hear your ratings first for both of them.
The first one, I'm going to be really cruel and give it like a 3 out of 10.
I was going to give it a 1 out of 10.
Oh my gosh, you're even worse than me.
Yeah, and the only reason it gets a 1 is
Frankie.
Is because, well, Frankie is pretty. Boris Karloff is in it for 3 seconds, and Stevie Wonder is in it.
Yeah.
Those are the only reasons why it gets 1. But the whole monkey situation, the whole coding situation, I mean...
Not having it.
No, not at all. Teen Beach movie, though. How many surfboards would you give it out of 10?
Probably 7.
Hey! I'll take
I mean,
it!
It's not my thing, but objectively, I can definitely see that it's a good quality thing.
Oh my gosh, stop. See, I give it 9 surfboards out of 10.
Well, you grew up with it, and I didn't, so I
grow up is when I was 21. Yes, I grew up with it, sort of, but I mean, yeah.
You're in a different place, though.
I was a nanny. Anyways, well, we hope
it's been Beachy Keen.
It's... Oh my gosh, that's what we're calling the episode.
Okay.
Beachy Keen, that's adorable. Yeah, I mean, we kind of just needed more of an uplifting, silly break this week. Because we've been doing a lot of pretty...
Horror movies and action movies.
Horror movies and action movies. Granted, this is episode maybe 5.
This is 4, I think.
No, it's 5.
Is it?
It's 5.
Oh my gosh.
But that's still... In terms of the research and the time that we spent talking about it, we needed to just kind of cleanse the palate with something fun.
Yeah.
And
it is summer, so.
And it is summer, so it's perfect. So we'll be getting back into more standard fare, I think, next week.
Yeah.
But thanks for hanging around and listening to our conversations
about...
Yeah. Surf crazy. Surf crazy. But I'm gonna keep singing. You might as well
just stop
it now. Next time, we'll see you then.
Bye.
Cheerio.